In Texas today, the defense rested in the racially charged case of 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony, the black Texas teenager charged with first-degree murder of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, who is white. So far, the jury and the trial has featured days of emotional testimony. There have been gruesome details from the medical examiner for the jurors to listen to, and at times contradictory statements, mostly from the teenagers who make up most of the witnesses. Karmelo Anthony admits to stabbing Austin Metcalf in the heart with a 3.5-inch long pocket knife back in April of last year, when the two teenagers from rival high schools crossed paths at a track meet. Prosecutors say Karmelo Anthony provoked the confrontation by entering and then refusing to leave Austin Metcalf's team's tent. They say he then stabbed Austin Metcalf in a sneak attack. The defense says the much larger Austin Metcalf started the fight, and Karmelo Anthony reacted in a split second of fear. The case has drawn tense and highly charged protests outside the Texas courthouse, and we're told there were both Proud Boys and Black Panthers outside the courthouse today, though there was nothing on the scale of the heated confrontations we saw outside that courthouse last week. The prosecution rested its case on Saturday after calling 21 witnesses, including first responders, the medical examiner, Austin Metcalf's football coach, and several students who were all there when Austin Metcalf was killed. Speculation reached a fever pitch today after the defense called the last 3 of its 5 witnesses, and then court took a long break, nearly 3 hours. The question everybody was wondering was, would the one person best suited to argue a case of self-defense to the jury take the stand? In the end, Karmelo Anthony's defense team announced Karmelo Anthony would not be testifying. Closing arguments are now slated to begin tomorrow morning. Joining us now are former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani and criminal defense attorney Mark Eiglarsh. Mark, I'm going to start with you. You know, the whole defense rests on Austin Metcalf's state of mind, that he was terrified, he was surrounded by one or more athletes who were much bigger than he was, and this was a split-second decision made out of a place of fear. How do you make that argument if he doesn't take the stand?
You do it based upon the available facts and circumstances that witnesses testified to. You cannot put him on the stand. He would have been eviscerated. There is no way that these veteran, trained, aggressive prosecutors would have left him with any dignity once he was done. So you couldn't have called him. The best chance you have is for the attorneys to argue this was self-defense, hope that not all would agree unanimously to the murder verdict, and hope maybe, just maybe, they'll come up with manslaughter.
Neama, how did prosecutors do in muddying the waters? Because one of the defense's own witnesses basically sort of backtracked a little bit on cross-examination. This defense witness was a teenager who was there, had said that Austin Metcalf and his twin brother, they're both linebackers who were almost 100 pounds heavier, each of them, than Karmelo Anthony. He said he was surrounded, Karmelo Anthony was surrounded after being asked to leave 10 times and refusing. But then on cross-examination, he said, well, maybe he wasn't surrounded, or maybe the video doesn't show that. In other words, he didn't recant the testimony, but the water was muddied nonetheless.
No question, the prosecution did a good job on cross-examination today with this particular student. And the fact that there were Karmelo Anthony's teammates that were told to actually leave by their coach, and they did leave. And it was Anthony that didn't follow his coach's own instructions. So I think a good day for the prosecution, made even better by the fact that Anthony didn't take the stand and testify. And the conventional wisdom is, in a self-defense case, the defendant has to testify. I agree with Mark. He would have gotten beat up proverbially on cross, but the only chance at an acquittal here would have been Anthony testifying. I think that's out the door. At best now, you maybe get a hung jury, maybe get manslaughter, but there's no way I think the defense has any chance of acquittal right now. And they're really looking at the possibility of a conviction on that first-degree murder count.
And Neama, because you're the former prosecutor here, why did the prosecution charge him with first-degree murder? First-degree murder to the non-attorney like myself implies you planned it, you went to this event thinking I'm going to kill him. I mean, there's been no evidence presented that this was anything other than a spur-of-the-moment event.
Well, it has to be intentional, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be lying.
So it can be intentional for a matter of seconds?
It can, and he brought a knife to a track meet. And there was a discussion, apparently 10 to 15 times, that he should leave. He reached into his backpack and he said, "Don't put your hands on me." Again, I'm not saying that the facts fit squarely within premeditated first-degree murder, but there's certainly enough to go to the jury. And I think by prosecuting it that way, I think the state definitely wants at least manslaughter, right? When you're presenting self-defense, if it's perfected, it is an acquittal. It's a walk. I think ultimately maybe that was what was offered here. We don't know, obviously. But if you're going to go to trial, you're going to throw the kitchen sink at a defendant, anything that's readily provable, and I think there's enough for first-degree murder in this case.
Mark, we know that under Texas law, it might have been prohibited to bring a knife to this track meet. Thank goodness that's school policy. But under Texas law, you're allowed to walk around anywhere with a knife that, as long as it's not more than 5 inches long. This knife was just 3.5 inches long, still obviously enough to kill somebody. But it wasn't illegal. And nowhere in the defense's case did they ever explain why he had this knife, although they did seem to say it was a tool more than a weapon.
Right. By him not taking the stand, there's a lot of questions out there, including why, first, he was carrying that around. Secondly, why did he choose to go to the opponent's tent at all? And when you were asked to leave, why'd you stay?
Yeah, they said it was raining.
I know, but why that particular? I got it. But then he was asked to leave, and he just, you know, there were certain things that he said that instigated. The problem became where this was a verbal exchange.
Yep.
The victim, and this helps the defense, pushes him. Now he's the aggressor, right? But to a battle of words, he brought a knife.
Right.
And the only thing that was bruised at that point was his ego. And his ego is not his amigo.
Yeah.
You don't get to do it in that context.
Good line. Mark Eiglarsh, Neama Rahmani, thank you both so much. We will await the verdict from the jury.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.